Chapter 41. A Trip to the Past. After a few weeks, specifically on Friday, April 4th, in the morning, Angie would receive a letter in her correspondence from Stephen Jennis, the boy from OVLAT school who would be waiting for them from this day on in the Temple of the Painted World of Dreams of Euphrates. She communicated this to her classmates in the living room of her house. Black, Gavin and Tony told her that in the afternoon they would go to the place. That Friday the school would end classes around 11 in the morning. But these three together Lewis had to clean the Jade Clover House classroom due to a punishment that Professor Eddie had given them for not doing an assignment. The four of them had to clean the tapestry and some of the clover decorations in the room, as well such as washing, soaking and changing the green curtains and flags inside the place. Once they finished with that, around 1 o'clock that Friday afternoon, they returned to the ranch, and there they would be ready to go to the temple. This boy, Stephen, sent me a letter that he is already in the Temple of the Painted World of Dreams of Euphrates. It is time to go to that place. You already know who will accompany us, said Angie. Where is that temple, exactly? Asked Adrian. In the Brehindehofvia district, said Alvord. It's a lonely place, very cold, and you feel like everything is sad around you. Outside the temple you see the sunny day, but you barely you stand inside the place, you look out the windows and everything is gray, said Black, Alvord. Do you know anything about the portrait of the past? Gavin asked Alvord. No, I don't exactly know where it will be. The place is very large. Not even Black remembers it, said Alvord with denial. We must use Stephen. He will know everything, said Tony. Let's not waste time and go right away, said Roger. Alvord, is place safe? Aren't there curses or something that could attack us? Asked Priscilla. No. Why? Said Alvord. Pry thinks that maybe we should make some potion to avoid if there is something in the air, said Angelica. No, there is nothing bad there, go calmly, said Alvord. May luck be with you, said Emily and Katie. How will we get there? Asked Mary Cross. I imagine we have to walk, there is no lamp to get there, said Naomi. Then we should use the hoods once again, said Mariah. If things get complicated, we will let you know, said Angie. At around 3 in the afternoon, the group of boys left the ranch to the Brehindehofvia district where after more than an hour of walking, they arrived at the place. In front of them was an imposing temple with large walls. It was a temple of orange colors, where the only thing that could be heard around was silence. Its large columns, it is an octa-style temple, with 8 columns on the 2 facades, shorter and 17 on the sides. It is also peripteral with columns around its perimeter. It is also an amphiprostyle temple at each entrance, on the shorter sides. It also consists of a double cella with pronaos and opisthodomo, but with a prostyle of 6 columns. These dimensions allowed the creation of a large dark room with its round columns that has a black and white tile in squares, similar to a chessboard, and some walls between the central columns. It's 4 walls that support the building. Once inside, the boy Stephen Jennis appeared, where Angie introduced him to the other boys who didn't know him. They're here. Excellent. Follow me. Let's not waste any more time, Steve said, and they followed him into the cold and lonely temple of the painted dream world of Euphrates. Are there sentinels in this place? Gavin asked. No. Don't worry, no one comes here. It is a temple and museum at all hours. But people are afraid of this place, since they believe that there is paranormal activity, explained Stephen. Who says that? Black asked. I imagine you were the one Angie mentioned who came here a few years ago. Boron's portrait is not at all pleasant to certain people, said Stephen. You're right, Black concluded. What exactly are we looking for? Alessio asked. The portrait of the dreamcatcher, said Stephen. It would be better to divide us, don't you think? Roger said. I agree, said Priscilla. If you find a picture of a dreamcatcher, don't forget to give a whistle, said Angie. So all the boys divided up around the temple to check the walls and columns that had portraits. There were portraits of many characters from the town through the years. Portraits about places in Pizcet, deities, Eshin. Stephen mentioned that those portraits felt alive, but only one of them would be the only one who would teleport them all to a different place. Hey! I found it! Louis shouted as he raised his head towards one of the walls of the place, and everyone ran around him. That's right, you found him, said Stephen. What do we do now, Stephen? Angie asked. Well, many will wonder what this portrait is doing. This portrait will take you 50 years back in Pizcet, to 1962. Many of their parents were not even born. Others perhaps were. Others were children. Their grandparents were young. Their great-great-grandparents were still alive, and the town was very small, like a village, said Stephen. Do you know the exact location of Ewan's? Asked Gavin. No, you will have to look for it yourselves. I will only give you the tool so that you can access it. Only I ask you please that when you arrive at the place, go to the central market and buy clothes according to the period. Dressed like this will cause suspicion. Never say your names, your surnames. If you meet your relatives, do not mention that to them. They could put, if your existence is in danger at this time. Are you ready to go to April 4, 1962? Said Stephen, and everyone agreed. And then he added, excellent, I need everyone to touch the portrait with their index finger, and then I will proceed to do the ritual, he said, giving them an example in front of the portrait. Once you touch the portrait, I will use this, you will begin to smell a certain pineapple smell. It is a hookah, it will shoot a magical sleeping pill. Where they will fall asleep in this place for a period of 30 minutes, that is the time they have to be in 1962, and look for the wise man, and if they have time, look for Sylvanisha as a girl. He explained, that's why they call him the painted world of dreams. Said Louis, that's right, through your dreams you travel to what the portraits represent. Now, are you ready? Stephen asked, and everyone responded affirmatively. Stephen lit the hookah and it began to release smoke throughout the room. The boys had already touched the portrait as he had asked them, and one by one they began to lie down on the floor as if they were small beds, and inside their minds, in their dreams, they were being transported to 1962. The lights went out, and after a few minutes all the boys appeared very close to the central market, but in 1962. Gavin told Black to go to the suit store to buy the clothes. For the rest, since he with his shotgun and hat looked more in the fashion of the time. Black swore as he assimilated that Gavin had told him that he looked old-fashioned and with a fashion from 50 years ago. The rest of the group laughed. Angie, Priscilla and the girls told him not to bring her dresses with turtlenecks or long petticoats since they hated them. After a few minutes, Black returned with all the clothes of the time. The boys changed into clothes similar to jeans, suits, hats, and began to walk through the Pizcet of 1962. In the place the streets were not cobblestone, there were very few buildings. The places, the ones far away in the other districts, were not there. Only the Lunesk station, the town hall, the Mackenzie Tower had not yet been built. After continuing walking through the place, they arrived at the central park of Pizcet, where it had very few trees, but they could glimpse more of the grass where people's horses grazed in this park. Towards one side of the park they could see the old wooden theater, and the old buildings of the Lunesk station and the town hall that were also made of wood. The construction of the great cathedral had already finished, but it could still be seen how the old great cathedral made of wood and red tin was in front of it before being demolished. After continuing walking, they looked at the horizon, where the patriarch's house could be seen with total visibility. On top of the hill, a large house with a red roof, white walls, a cross that accompanied it, and the blue of the mountain of death in the distance that could be seen behind it. In 1962 there were no tall buildings like in 2012, so you could see the entire panorama. What if we asked people where the Gardner home might be? So maybe we would find the girl Sylvanisha, asked Tony. That will be for last, we must look for the sage, we are running out of time. Remember that Stephen mentioned that we only have half an hour, said Angie. Have you not understood the secret of the painted world of dreams? Lewis said. Why? What are you talking about? Angie asked. When you take a nap, you feel that many hours have passed and that it is a new day when you wake up. When you dream at night, your dream ends when you have already fulfilled the purpose of the dream. Therefore, until we fulfill the purpose here, the dream will end and we will return to the temple and only half an hour will have passed, Lewis explained. Wow, that's true, you're right, Angie said. Where do you know that? Gavin asked. Lewis and I read a book about dreams in the library, Marycross said. Let's go to Green Hills and see what we can find, said Priscilla. Good idea, said Tony. So everyone headed to the Green Hills of 1962, a neighborhood that at that time had not grown like what we know, few houses and many green areas on the hill. After a while where the kids were desperate, they did not know what to do or search. They had no clues, when suddenly a tall, dark-skinned, gray-haired man with a beard appeared. I see you're not from around here. Are you looking for something? Asked the gentleman. We're looking for a sab. A family with the last name Gardner, Gavin answered. MJM, follow me. I think I can help you with that. I will tell you where to find that family. I will invite you to a cup of tea, said the man. And everyone proceeded to follow him to a very elegant home in Green Hills. Upon arriving at the house, all the boys sat in the living room. It had very comfortable armchairs from the time. The man returned from his kitchen and served a cup of tea for each one. Who are you, sir? Gavin asked. Let me introduce myself. I have been waiting for you. Thank you very much for freeing me. I am Ewens, the last sage, said the Lord frankly. What? Gavin shouted. Angie had dropped her cup of tea. And Tony and the others almost choked when they took the first sip and some shortbread cookies that the kind gentleman had served them. Really? Asked Gavin. That's right. I've followed them since they came to town, said Ewens. Great sage, what do you have in store for us? Asked Angie. First, to be honest with you, the only thing I offer you is the supreme power of the sages. From this moment on the power of the sages will be with you, since the moment I return to the chamber of the sages. All that power will be taken to you to, they are preparing for the final battle that will be in a few months, said Ewens. I would like to ask you, is it possible that we can eliminate the Sylvana of this time who is a girl? Asked Priscilla. That is impossible. She eliminated her existence in this time. They will never find her. She follows her path. Steps. She knows what they do. She prepared for this moment, said Ewens. When will we know that we already have the power of which he speaks? Asked Bastian. You will see it in your next battle, said the sage. I don't know why. I had a feeling that the last sage wouldn't have much information for us, said Gavin disappointed. Well, we sages never knew about the OVLAT guys who were alive. They basically gave them the information they needed. In other words, they saved me work and helped put together the puzzle of the Yerioada riddles, said Ewens. So that would be it? Is there no more information? Angelica asked. You already have everything. You just need to polish some things, train, and finish with some details for the final battle, said Ewens. What kind of details? Tony asked. You have to finish off some vassals, for example, the guardians of the evil transmission towers. I will tell you that exactly in September, at the end. The evil magic will begin to disperse throughout the town. That is where you should attack, be they strong. You will be able to finish off the dark deities and destroy that transmission, said Ewens. What other vassals are left there? asked Bastian. You must destroy the vassal that guards the great cathedral, the headless pontiff. Sylvanetia placed him there since you know that you cannot take Omega and Belphemet, but if you defeat the pontiff, you would have free way to explore the temple of the great cathedral, said Ewens. All these months there has been a lot of peace in the school. The last enemy was the red dragon in the fire volcano, said Alessio. That's how it was the last time, but be ready. Soon you will begin to notice the gray days, never-ending rains, the weather will be crazier than ever. As usual, the nights will last longer. Phenomena will occur that you have never seen, said Ewens. Do you mean ruin and devastation? Asked Roger. That's right, this time she wants to start with that in her reign. As a way for you to feel intimidated by your surroundings. But I know that you will be strong, said Ewens. That does not scare us, shouted Adrian. Soon you will notice that Sylvanetia will have total power over all the things about this place, said the wise man. What about the school? Should we continue? Asked Mariah. Defection never leads anywhere. Finish what you started. Stay at the school, so you could devise a plan to attack it from within, said Ewens, putting his fingertips together. Are we in danger inside the school? Asked Marycross. Not necessarily. There are a few vassals within it, who will soon meet you. Just be prepared, they are very powerful. She will use her best allies to stop you within the school. School, said the wise man. Do you mean that you will use the other houses? Asked Naomi. A specific one, answered the wise man. Ha! I knew it. It reminded me of that fool Reaper who wants to duel me, said Bastian with annoyance. I think we already have all the puzzles solved. We already know where to go in the coming months and what our objectives will be, said Angie. Well, from this day, from now on until December, it will be battle after battle in search of freedom. Peace and justice for us, said Black. That's right, young heroes. I wish you the best of luck. I have to go. I will return to the chamber so that you can receive your supreme powers. Ewens concluded, and thus the wise Ewens dissipated and returned to the chamber. For their part, the group of boys, upon finishing the conversation with him, began to feel very sleepy, and each one fell asleep in the armchairs where they were sitting. Everything became dark, and again in a few minutes they appeared in the temple of the painted world of dreams of Euphrates, where Stephen had left them a note that he had returned to Massey County with his friends and wished them good luck in the final battle. Upon returning to the temple, Mariah activated a lamp to return from there to the ranch, and when they returned, they told Emily, Chaka, Alvord and Katie what they had discovered in the past, so they went up to the terrace to continue the conversation, while they watched the sunset on the horizon. There, a white glow was above them. To them, the voice of the wise Diana spoke to them. Congratulations, young heroes. You have freed all the sages of the Chamber of Sages. Raise your hands towards the sky and receive this unmatched and supreme power of the sages as help for your final battle in a few months, said the voice. Like this, everyone raised their hands, and the flash of light in the sky began to divide into colored rays and permeated each of the hands of the heroes who were there. After a while, Alex came running towards the terrace. Guys, you have to see this, come to the common room, and everyone ran following Alex. And on the television in the living room the news was showing important news, where Sylvanetia was shown on the roof of City Hall and the reporter mentioned it. Very good afternoon to all who see us this afternoon. We are from the Pizcet Town Hall, where at this moment the director of the Rhoda School, Sylvana Gardner, is sworn in and appointed as the new mayor. Patriarch, head of the Lunesk station, she will take charge of these 4 very important places in our town thanks to their excellent work at the school, mentioned the reporter. For me it is a great honor that the members of the councils of the Grand Cathedral, the Lunesk station and the City Council have made this decision. to entrust me with the absolute power of the decisions that happen in this town, inhabitants of Pizcet, with me. I promise you that tragedies like the ones that the first Sin rebel group that has attacked us for 6 years have wanted to do will never happen again. Trust me and I will restore peace to this place. Together, we will win against those rebels. I need help. Your support. On May 15th, throughout the day, I invite you to the grand parade from the amusement park to the city hall, where the ceremony will be, where we all celebrate this achievement. Do not forget to bring your containers so that they can drink the sacred liquid of the great cathedral. And the act of the new Queen of Pizcet will be made official, as I have proclaimed myself on this day, Silvanisha mentioned on television. After seeing that news, the boys turned off the television and knew that another of the wise men's predictions was coming true. Silvanisha had obtained absolute power over the people, taking all the powers that they confer on the people. Guys, we should boycott that parade or festival, said Gavin. But why? Asked Roger. We will wear our hoods, the parade will be all day. We must come up with a plan. Black, Angie, help me. We must prevent more people from being brainwashed that day, said Gavin. But what do you have in mind for that day? Angie asked. Infiltrate the parade, in several teams, use paralysis, put to sleep all possible people in the parade so that they do not hear in the speech, if they heard the message. She spoke of the sacred liquid. The Princess of Asturias had told us about that. We must purify that water and prevent people from drinking it. That day at night, we will go to the great cathedral. We will look for that vassal of the headless pontiff and we will finish him off, Gavin said, and everyone would prepare to visit the great cathedral next month.